How'd it go?
I don't know if I know.
Good Lord, there's a fire. I ain't have no shoes or nothing, Jesus. I ran for my life. I ain't have no shoes or nothing, Jesus. Ain't nobody got time. It's like remembering a monologue in school.
You have to like get into it.
You're like, okay. To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether it is nobler.
Oh my goodness. What a way to start this off.
I know. We're wrapping up a lot of things, you know.
Whoa.
What did we learn in school? What did we
read
take
in
away
the past 2 months?
That too. And what did we take away from our lives? You know, being alive.
I will forever remember one that I with the sharpest soda.
And Barty hitty hitty hola. I don't know it, but like it's like for me, it's like a song that I don't know the words to. Like Christine, she's got it.
I've got the rhythm,
but I know the cadence. And so I make up syllables. Because what are these? The Aesop fables?
No, this is the prologue.
Oh, the Canterbury Tales.
How can you forget this?
Because
the most iconic.
No, it's not.
Listen,
Canterbury Tale.
Listen to me. You need to learn how to let me get my thought out before you react. That's what you need to work on in 2024. You're about to do it again. Just let me get my thought out. This is the most iconic trivia question for our channel.
Okay.
Okay? That's what I was going to say before you overreacted.
I thought you were going to say piece of literature.
No,
I was like,
absolutely not.
I was like, I don't know why.
But if there's one thing that has lasted our entire before the Roomies Digest, okay, I'm talking from the beginning of our friendship. This is the piece of trivia that will win you $100 million.
Not if I can't pronounce it.
What do you mean? You can pronounce it. You cannot pronounce the words, the prologue of the Canterbury Tales.
I don't even know what that is.
That's what one that Apriola with the shorts.
Oh.
It's the prologue to the Canterbury Tales.
Got it. I won't ever forget. Now, will I be able to say one the Apriola?
One that Apriola.
Oh, I got it. Hen the hishanerla. Hen tur the hitty hitty hola.
I just want to go on the streets. I want to be like, do you guys know what this famous piece of literature is from? And then have you go,
one the Apriola in the hishanerla. And tur the hitty hitty
and then they'll be like, what do you mean? And I'll be like, this is a classic piece of literature that everyone has had to read at some point, hopefully.
I've never read that.
Oh man.
I think I've heard
AP English.
I think I've heard of it, but like they really said, no, we'll do this instead. I don't know what we learned in AP English.
It wasn't that.
Instead.
Yeah. I got my credit.
I think we did in AP Lit, we did you did Canterbury Tales and we did Hamlet. Macbeth.
We did Hamlet and Macbeth as well. Shakespeare was definitely part of it.
Yeah, they
also
did.
Beowulf. It was really sonnets.
That was Beowulf.
That was the thing.
We did not read Canterbury Tales.
And we watched the movie because my teacher was one of those.
This was the junior year?
This was my senior year.
Oh.
My AP English teacher was like, we're going to do this AP work and it's going to be really hard and kind of doesn't really make sense. But then the fun part is we get to watch all the movies.
I don't remember what English I took in senior year.
I was trying to get credit for college, man. That's why I graduated.
Yeah, but like, who was my teacher? I don't even remember my senior year
I'll never
English
forget.
teacher.
Mr. Corley, you're not watching this video, but if you did, this is a shout out for you. Yep. Good times.
I'm like, unless I'm forgetting completely my junior year. I don't remember.
That's crazy. You remember everything.
Yeah, I'm like.
Maybe you didn't take English in junior year.
I don't think I took English senior year. Which seems odd to me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to think back on that. Not important now.
Yes.
So yeah, we're wrapping up a lot of things. AKA our reading. AKA our reading up until this point.
Yeah, January and February. Jan and Feb, wrap up.
Let's do it.
Bum, bum.
Da 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 da. Duh.
So for our Patreon book clubs, okay, the first book that I read in January for that was A Court This Cruel and Lovely. This is what I was telling you guys about this book that has been going around on the interweb. And it honestly was back in 2023, okay? So by this point, you know, I'm not saying you missed the boat, but like no one's talking about this book anymore. Anyway, so it's a fantasy romance. We started off light and fun. And this one is essentially about this kingdom where magic gets taken from you at a young age and offered to essentially like the gods of this kingdom to rejuvenate, you know, the magic system, right? Okay. And then when you grow up at a certain point, you get like a sliver of that magic back. All right. So we start off with our main character who has never given up her magic. She in fact has her full magical abilities from day one. And so essentially her existence is illegal. So we're going into kind of like the storyline of how she interacts with this kind of group of guys who are mercenaries and is trying to like basically make things better in this world. I'm trying to be loose about it, but loosey-goosey. Yeah, loosey-goosey. But I did like this one. I think getting into it, it does take a little bit to get into because the whole time, of course, it's a fantasy romance. So you're like, when are the two people gonna meet?
Yeah.
When is the meet cute? But there is like a little bit of world building, not too much, not too heavy, but it does take a minute for them to have met, and then they aren't necessarily together. Like, as in they aren't even in the same scenes, okay, until further into the book. So, like, they meet, then they separate, then they come back together again. But, honestly, I really liked it. I liked their relationship, and I really, of course, love the found family. Like, the group of mercenaries, they are fun. That is a fun time.
Mercenaries seem like a fun...
Yeah, they're, you know, they all have their own personality traits. Like, one of them's married, and he like loves his wife, and he's like thinking about his kids, and they're like, why are you such a sap? And he's like, sorry that I'm happy and y'all are not.
Miserable.
Yeah, but like I have things to do, so let's get this show on the road.
Like, this is my job.
Exactly. So I really liked it. I had a great time with it. And going off of that one, I did also read the second one right after that, because I was like,
I like these people.
Yeah, don't leave me on a cliffhanger. Because the end of book one was a cluster. There were some reveals that happened. The magic system was just boo, 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 boo,
yeah.
boo, boo, boo. And there were some betrayals, okay, that I didn't see coming. I was like, ooh, that's gotta hurt. Ooh. So then I had to go into the second one because I was like, how are we gonna come back from this? You know what I'm saying? Like, how are we gonna get back to where I wanna be? Which is where everyone's happy, and there's a little bit of conflict, not a lot of conflict, which is where we stopped. Anyway, book two was also a lot of fun. I feel like a lot of people don't like it as much as book one, but I liked it. I wish I could tell you that I had a rating for that, but right here as I live and breathe, there are no stars beside either of these two books. So I want to say that the first one I gave a 4.5, and the second one I gave a 4. That's how I felt.
Nice. For my Patreon book club, baking book club, we read a memoir. We read From Scratch by Timby Locke. And it was very, very good, but it was also very sad. The premise of this book is Timby, the author, she's kind of going through the stages of grief and the healing process because she lost her husband to cancer. And it's kind of like she travels to Italy. Her husband's Italian, so she travels to Italy every summer with her daughter, and you know, just kind of talking with his family and making the recipes that they made and like healing through that. So it's just about like, you know, the healing of, you know, the family, food memories, and it's just a great time. You go through her love story, but it's also sad because you know how it goes, you know, we know how the love story is, so it's just a lot of emotions. But it was a really well done memoir. I don't read a lot of memoirs, so I'm not really, you know,
versed,
the person to like, I you know, I read a lot of autobiographies. Not really. I read a few memoirs occasionally, but this was the best one I've read. But I will put this one and like Educated on the same level to me. Like, they're both very captivating, but they're like two different vibes. Obviously, you'll know that, but
I mean, we started that show, and I don't think we could finish it because it was already like sad.
oh yeah, there's also a show on Netflix starring Zoe Saldana.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was interesting. It's a little different from the book. So if you are interested in how they adapted it, it seems a little different.
Check it out. Yeah, that was a fun time. The baked eggplant.
Oh yeah, I made some parmesan, baked eggplant parmesan.
Yep, that's
had a
right.
Salad.
That's right. Also in January, the book that we read for classic literature was Monique's pick.
Was my pick because it was my birthday month. Fellow Capricorns, rise.
All right. Quit it.
I picked Book of Azrael. You're like, Monique, why did you pick Book of Azrael?
This is why everybody thinks you're a fantasy reader.
I know, shocker.
Man.
You know, I wanted something that had to do with like fallen angels or like not really a forbidden love, but like kind of like just, you know, like
Something.
demons, angels, something like that.
Yeah.
And the book I literally typed in dark romance with demons, and it was like a lot of them are like, you know, like demons and quotes, like they're just really sick people. And I was like, I want like actual
An
like,
actual
paranormal
fantasy
romance
demon
with angels and demons.
Yes.
And then they were like, the first one was Book of Azrael. I was like, great. It was there, y'all, under the dark romance. But it was romantic. I think it was romantic, but it was a very slow burn because it's an actual fantasy book. I picked a fantasy book for my smut read book club. And while a lot of people liked the book, a lot of people were confused as to why I picked it. And I just, again, I just said the reasoning, but it was fun. It was about I don't really remember. It's about this, I guess you would call her demon. She's
like more of a vampire, honestly. She's like a vampire demon hybrid is what I imagined her as.
She's like a monster.
Yeah, she sucks blood, but also like can shapeshift, and she has
lots of abilities.
Yeah, cool abilities. She's a baddie.
Mm-hmm. And she pairs up with a literal god, and they are on the search for
this Book of Azrael.
Right. And there's lots of hijinks along the way, and dare I say, love and romance. I enjoyed it. I loved it so much. I went and started book 2. Realized book 2 was about 900 and something pages, and said I will save that for another day because I don't even think book 3 is even out yet. So once I know that book's out, that's when I'll start book 2, because why read 900 pages and just be
right? Yeah,
you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I mean, I think if we're going for a star rating, it's somewhere between a 3.75 and a 4 for me, because I did like the world. The world is super original, I think. The magic system is a little hard to pin down, I think, from just a fantasy person's aspect. And you know, the writing was good to an extent, which is why it leans on this 3.75 scale. But it wasn't quite like a 3.5. I don't know how to explain it.
I think I gave it a 4, 4.5 for me. I really liked the characters.
4.5? That's crazy.
The end was so good.
Okay.
Like, there was like a moment where I was reading it at work.
Actually, what part made you jaw drop?
When they were fighting in the end. Not the end.
Okay.
Like, there's like a...
When they were in the tomb?
Yeah.
Okay. And the guy... Yeah.
Because he realized how much he loved her. It was a love story.
There's lots of pining.
Love story for
the guy, I forget his name, I'm so sorry, but the god, whatever.
I did forget his name.
So he has been in exile for like a millennium, right? So he's been alone. And as you can imagine...
Isn't it Liam?
Oh, maybe his name is Liam. I don't know.
I'm gonna look.
But he's been alone for so long.
He doesn't even remember.
He doesn't know how to interact with people, right? And he has not felt love or like kindness or anything from anybody. So it's him. He's going through his own mental health journey of like getting back to a point where he can even love or like somebody again. Because he doesn't even f with his friends, you know? Like he's really crazy. So anyway, it's very good in that way. If that's something that you're into, a fantasy romance with slow burn and original world building, you know, I think it might be something for you.
Diana and...
I think it is
I feel like it's something with an L, but I can't... I guess what you're saying.
Why don't you just Google it? Yeah.
Yep.
Liam.
Yep. Wonderful time.
Yeah, fun stuff. For our patron picks our TBR, which is our head chef series that we're doing on our channel now. So this is the part where a certain tier in our Patreon, our Alfredos, they can pick a book for us to read. Right? And the book that we first started off with in January was Dead Romantics. Okay, you can kind of see how we feel about that in the vlog, so I don't think we should really get into all of it. That's going to be linked up in the cards, so you can take a look at it. But
thank you, Haley.
Yeah,
for a great recommendation.
Right. Is that all we have for January? Anything else you read, Jan?
I feel like I did read something, but if it doesn't come into me, it means I wasn't blown away, you know?
I don't know if that's what that means. I feel like you forget about stuff because you don't write stuff down.
Okay, well, we can just move on.
Moving into February, we'll start off with Patreon book club again. For me and my people, we ended up reading Bride by Ali Hazelwood. And when I say that we started that book and we finished it pretty much within the same day, almost everybody in book club did that. We had 3 sprints planned for February. And so we ended up just reading like other books during the sprints. But Bride was so fun. I loved it. You want to speak on that since you read it too?
I also read Bride in February. It took me over 24 hours as well. But I read Bride and I enjoyed it. I think I was more confused. It's funny because you were saying how like, you know, Book of Azrael was like the magic system was confusing. I was more confused by like the family tree and
in Bride.
Yeah,
like who is who?
Who is who? What are they doing?
Yeah.
And like, yeah.
I never realized that Ali Hazelwood writes her books like that, where essentially she'll like start off like with a scene, then she'll go in the past, and then she'll go back to the present, past, present. And that is part of how she did Bride, but also a huge part of how she wrote another book that I read by her last month, which was the Loathe to Love You novellas. That whole bind up was past, present, past, present, past, present. And by the third one, I was like, just put me in the present, dude. I'm done with the past. Like, just get me there. I don't want to go into the past any longer. Anyway, long story short. But yeah, Bride was great.
Yeah.
Bride was fantastic. Very interesting.
Low is... If we do like a... Who is most favorite book boyfriend at the end of the year? Low might
be the one.
I think he's gonna be number 1.
It's only February. Chill. Are you serious?
I'm gonna see what else I get to this year, but like I'm saying, it's just there's certain traits, and it's not because he's a wolf. Honestly, that's on his.
We didn't even like get into his brain in that book at all.
What do you mean? You weren't reading the quotes at the top of the chapter. I was reading the quotes. Then you were all in his brain because that is literally so cute. And anytime he had anything to say, it was very thoughtful and kind. He is good at a lot of things, and he loves his family.
This is all because he's an architect? Stop! Oh my god.
He's an architect.
Oh my god.
A world traveler. And again, did I mention kind, honest, kind of, yeah. You know, that's all I have to say.
I think Ali Hazelwood does banter very well, and in that book, it's fun because there's not a ton of banter between them at first. Like, you have to build to it, like you do in all of her books, basically. But I found Misery, the main character, like the main female character, I found her to be so funny. Like, she would just make me laugh. Just, you know, she's a vampire, but like she's incredibly down to earth. Maybe because she grew up with the humans. Yeah. Or whatever. But she was just so funny as a character. So I loved her. Lo was cool in his own ways too. But I needed him to like get on her side, you know? I was like, Lo, come on, man. Come on. She's not gonna kill anybody. She's your wife. Anyway, Loathe to Love You was a similar situation. The banter in those ones is fun. The huge thing with those, of course, is like the miscommunication trope, which is so fun. It is so fun in romance. So anyway,
every single one.
Every single one, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a miscommunication trope, but not like the classic, like the classic way. Yeah, it's more of there's this different type of miscommunication that happens quite frequently in romance, where the girl is, especially in Ali Hazelwood's books, the female character is very self-deprecating. Oh, that's
right. The worst kind.
She's very self-deprecating. And she's like, you could never love me. Even in Bride, she did
that.
Right? She's like, I'm disgusting.
The wall.
Meanwhile, we all know from the very first chapter in Bride,
everyone's like, she's beautiful.
He feels about her, okay? You know, like, you don't smell like a garbage can, girly. So anyway, that's kind of how the other books were, because there were huge, I mean, I'm talking like, come on guys, just have a conversation and this will fix everything. But they linger on that miscommunication, and for it to be a novella, it just was lingering too long. I was like, okay, we don't even have that much time with these guys, like, let's get over this, you know, and go on to like the fun part. So anyway, I really liked it regardless. It's just by the third novella I was like, I've read this story a few times now and I'm ready to move on. Overall, I gave that one a 4.
Nice.
Yeah. Your book club?
My book club, I know. We read The Bread We Eat in Dreams by Catherine Valent.
The way that you couldn't even say.
Because when I say we read, it's sad to say, but it was our group's first DNF.
Stop.
We hadn't had a DNF yet, but we all came together to that decision that anthology of short stories was
horrible.
I would not say it was horrible. I would say it was not for us, but we did not like the stories. They didn't really have a theme, and when I look back at like what the book was supposed to be about, it literally was just like, let me find it, because I was like, it was just the synopsis. If I had just, I can't even say the words, but like if I could just find it really quick. 35 pieces collected here, explore an extraordinary breadth of styles and genres. See, that should have been my first hint.
Okay.
And then it goes on from noir to Native American myth, from folklore to the final frontier. Each tale showcases Valent's eloquence and originality. That should have been my...
You mean like they're basically saying nothing is gonna be cohesive?
Yeah, it's just saying like Valent is a great writer, and that's why all these stories are in this particular collection.
Okay.
And it was kind of hard to follow because we didn't know
what was going on.
Is it a dystopian book? You know, we just had a lot to understand what we were taking away from each story, because each story had nothing to do
with anything else.
Yeah.
Like,
and I've only read anthology. Yeah, I've never really read that. I've only read one kind of like short story collection. It was, I've read a couple, but I've read, the one I liked the most was The Memory Librarian. And I think that one was just done so well because it was like the world, you know, the world that Janelle Monáe made. And it, like, there are stories that connect to that universe.
Yeah, they're like in the same universe, but they're not necessarily
like exactly the same story. But like it still had ties to like Afrofuturism and like dystopian, you know, policies and like what, you know, the world would be like if
something had changed.
If things,
or whatever.
And it like all kind of made sense, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I thought this book was going to be about. But each time we turned to a new story, it was
not about that.
Yeah, we were like, what are we doing now?
Yeah, like what's
So it was our group's first DNF, but it was the first time we all made bread and we had a fun time. I actually
tasted great. Yeah.
I actually made a successful loaf of bread, y'all. Maybe Christine will post a picture here.
Yeah, I was thinking when we talk about your Patreon stuff, I can probably put the pictures in if you give them to me. So
there it is.
Yep. Okay.
And yeah, that was that February book that we tried to read.
Well, you're not the only one who had some bad books in February. I'll talk about my bad ones, okay? Real quick. So first of all, for our 24-hour readathon, I wanted to talk about this because Monique read one book for that. And I read 2, which is so funny to me. But it was Garnet Flats by Destinie Perry. This is one of the series continuation books, and I was so excited to get into this one because I love Destinie Perry. I love her other books in this series. I think number 4 is gonna be a knockout. Can't wait to get into that one. But Garnet Flats, I don't want to actually bash this book that much, okay? Just when I say, let me even make sure. Yeah, okay, I gave it a 2 stars. Wow. That book was so unlikable. The main male character sucked. He just was so pompous and cocky and not for the right reasons. Like, did not respect the female main character's wishes at all. Was very much like the attitude of like, you know, I know what you want, you don't know what you want type of stuff. And it just like wasn't vibing. Like, sometimes I don't mind a cocky male character, you know?
Yeah, that one book you read.
Yeah, like, I think it just depends on also how the female main character interacts with them, or like whatever other main character, their love interest, interacts with them. But this, like, it's like they did not mesh to me. Like, I didn't understand why they were getting a second chance romance. His apology just like laid flat on the floor. Like, it was disgusting to me. I didn't like him. Ew, you know? And he just was so secretive about so much stuff for unnecessary reasons. And then there was that other third act plot that came in literally like with 50 pages left. And I was like, why? Do we need another plot line when I'm already pissed at the other two that have happened, you know? So I don't want to talk much more about it, but I didn't like it, unfortunately. The other book that I hated in February, but this doesn't even count, I guess, because I feel like none of us really vibed with it. It was Better Run.
Oh, yeah.
Classic literature. This is one of our worst books, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty, it wasn't, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a quick read, though. Definitely different
so
than,
fast.
you know, Book of Azrael.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah.
It was crazy. Like, I read it 80% in the first sprint.
Yeah.
And then we picked it up and I was like, oh, this book isn't going anywhere. So
I think it was just interesting because you would think that they were good. They would do
something
more to like kind of make you like
the relationship.
The relationship, because like you know how dark romances go. There's always
Yeah.
a formula. Like, they get snatched up and then they
right.
You know,
if it's Stockholm, it's like, you know, they find a thing to like about the person, right?
Yeah.
The person isn't as dark as they seem, or
but
they're
I
only
feel like,
dark. But
I feel like they
them.
hinted at it and they like. But it wasn't like done. It wasn't. I
just wasn't done.
Going
well.
for it all the way. Like
no.
they hinted at some backstory.
But then where did it go?
Yeah.
Nothing was explained. The apology was horrible. These guys, like,
they were just cuckoo.
They did some crazy stuff. Tortured and killed this other girl for no reason, really, other than she like made out with another girl. It was bad. It was really bad. So.
But you know, it was smut, and that's what we signed up for.
I guess so. Yeah, you're correct. There was some smut in there.
It's a lot of smut.
There was some smut. So.
But yeah, that was Better Run.
Yeah, 1 star. Apparently I'm giving those out this year, you know. I've traditionally never really given anything lower than a 3, but I found that these were books I had to read, so I did finish them. And then the other book that I kind of gave, not like a low, you know, rating to, but like lower than I'd like, was our patron Pixar TBR for Patricia Likes to Cuddle.
Yeah, you did not enjoy that.
Yeah.
Thinking back, you know, I think I gave it 3 stars.
I gave it a 3 stars.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not low.
I mean, it's lower than I would have liked.
Oh. Okay.
I thought I was going to really like this book. And it just didn't make no sense.
There were a lot of more questions. That's pretty much what it is. If it's like unanswered questions, but not in like the thought-provoking way, more than like, why didn't we just put that on the page?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's usually a star.
Correct.
And if I don't like the characters, it's usually a star.
Yep.
And there you go. 3
and
stars.
The one character I did like, which I think you also liked, they were murdered.
They were murdered.
So what's the point in reading anymore? That's how I feel sometimes.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. You get very attached to these. He didn't even do much either. You know, he was just a quiet, beautiful soul. And then his life got ripped away from him so quick. It was senseless.
Yeah.
These lesbians. Like, damn. But like, I see what it was trying to do. It just didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
So to someone else, they could probably really love it.
Yeah, I mean, there was a moment in the book where it did just kind of just go straight, like, you know, to the wall. And I, you know, while things were happening I wasn't agreeing with, I will say I was keeping up with the pace. The pace was good. Mm-hmm. But I felt like the pace could have just lasted a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's like if you just had a little bit more of an explanation. Like,
yeah, like I feel like it just
a little more
happened,
on so many different things.
Yeah, then it would be perfect.
I would have loved.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, this is exactly why they wanted to do that. Or like whatever. But like there's no sense. There's no sense. And unfortunately I'm a logic driven person.
Same.
So
certain MBTIs.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, I wish I had liked that one more than I did. But still thanks to our good buddy.
Yeah.
Noelle for
shout out head chef.
Yeah, taking over for the day for Patreon Pixar TBR. And then the other 3 star from last month is one of the 24 and 24 picks from, you know, that whole thing. And this is from Catherine, so she gave me the rec How to Marry the Marble Marquis.
Oh yeah, the Regency one.
The Regency one.
Yeah.
And while I love a Regency, it was a little too Regency for me. I never thought I'd say that as I'm doing my Bridgerton rewatch right now. This one was like Bridgerton with monsters, you know? Seems like the perfect recipe, but I needed more of a relationship between the gargoyle, the Marble Marquis. I needed more from him and from her. Because in this story, he's supposed to be this rake, right? Okay, and he's teaching her how to basically get a man. And he's like, okay, here are lessons. They're not necessarily like going all the way lessons, if that makes sense, but like he's teaching her how to kind of be, you know, seductive and like how to like lure people in and all this stuff. And so I just needed, when they finally got together, I wanted there to be more of the time of
That's
them
how I
together.
felt with that one movie we watched.
Okay, what movie was that?
The one with what's his name? Hannah was in town. I'm blanking. It's got the guy that's in everything now. He's in everything.
Give me literally anything from this movie. A plot.
They're trying to set up their bosses.
Oh, Set It Up. With Glenn Powell and
Zoe Dutch.
There you go. Pulling that one out.
Anyway,
I love that movie.
When you said what you were saying about...
You wanted them to have more romance.
Yeah, like they were... Yeah. I was agreeing with you about
Yeah, because essentially the end of that movie, it's like they stop right when they would start getting romantic seriously. Which is how I felt about this book. I was like, come on, man. Now you guys are finally like admitting that you like each other. Where is the romance?
I want some love.
Yeah, yes. But it really wasn't about that. It was about going from a rake to being someone who is open to love, right? And that's the story there. So anyway, I gave that one 3 stars. It was a fine time. It was a good time.
I also gave a book 3 stars.
Oh.
I know, you're like, you read something that's not required?
That was not what I was thinking, but sure.
I read Foe by Ian Reid. And you know I love Ian Reid. I liked, I don't know if I've only actually one besides this book and I'm Thinking of Ending Things. I'm Thinking of Ending Things. So I was like, let me read Foe so I can watch the movie, you know, see how it goes. But y'all, I mean, it was interesting. I gave it 3 stars. Like it didn't really blow my mind. Like I kind of expected the beats. And the way that I'm Thinking of Ending Things, that was unexpected for me. Like I can kind of tell where Foe was going. But essentially Foe is about this couple. They are kind of put into this lottery for space travel.
Is this what the TV show is about or the movie is about with what's-her-face?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Gets selected to go to space travel, and so they have to go through all this like tests and interviews just to get ready to be separated because, you know, it's gonna be a change to the family, and you're just kind of following where their minds are at in this like
story.
Change. Yeah, and so
do they end up going to space or?
You don't. Nobody in the book goes to like space. Like they go to, you don't go with them. Like you're just preparing for that trip.
That sounds like something you would really like.
Yeah. I was like an astronaut.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it's a thriller. So it had all the basics, but I think because I read a lot of thrillers, I just kind of felt where the beats were going to beat. So I feel like if you like the unexpected.
Don't read them.
Yeah. It's not, yeah. Well, the ending. I mean, read it for the ending, and then you guys tell me what you think. I thought it wasn't a shocker to me. Like, it was good. I'll give it 3.5, talking out loud. But, like, I just knew that, like, when it got to that, I was like, this is probably what would happen. And it happened, and it was executed well, but it didn't, like,
you just love to guess, don't you?
It's my fault, you know, I'm a detective.
Yeah.
International super spy.
And then, I think this might be the last one for me. Okay. I read a book on... You guys are going to get so sick of me saying this, but I read a book on my series continuation list. It was called A Soul to Touch by Opal Ray. This is supposed to be like the spiciest one in the series, and I can confirm it is in fact a spicy effing book. So the thing in this one is we have a demon hunter, right? Who gets kicked out of her clan because she didn't do something, right? So she's living isolated on the edge of this forest, and she's luring demons in with blood and then killing them separately than like with a group, right? So she's alone. She comes from a long line of demon slayers. Okay, so she's got history here. She's got, you know, her family that is no longer here, but she's in the family home. She, at this point in her life when she was a young girl, she had gotten lost in the woods. Okay, let me set the scene here. She had gotten lost in the woods. She's a 4-year-old, okay? And the reason she got lost is because she's looking for her little black kitty cat. So she's walking around. I know, Sherman. She's walking around. She's going, kitty, 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 kitty. She sees a little black blob. And she goes, kitty! And she runs over to him and gives him a hug. This little blob, okay? It's giving Monsters, Inc. Okay, but tiny, like, you know, Sully is tiny and black. So this little thing that doesn't really have a shape, only like eyes, essentially. A cat skull, if you will, if we all know anything about the Duskwalkers, we know what happened to the cat. And the blob basically essentially saves her from being out in the cold in the middle of winter in the mountains, right? Returns her back to the house. Fast forward to when she's like 20, whatever. The blob is now a full-grown Duskwalker, and he's stalking her.
Of course.
Because he's afraid that she's going to die by herself.
Because she's doing all this alone.
Right. And not only has this kitty, okay, because that's his name. She named him. That's his name. He's kept it this whole time.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very sweet. So he's afraid that she's going to die. He wants to protect her because she was like the first person, like thing really to give love to him, right? Mm-hmm. As a child. And so he has seen her like grow up from like this tiny little thing to like who she is now, this like fierce warrior. And she knows good and well she does not need help. Okay, she is a fierce MFer. She will kill you like that. But this Duskwalker is still afraid. He's very anxious about it. So he essentially like watches her from the woods like a weirdo. He's a psycho. Yeah. And what ends up happening is she calls too many demons out at one point, and he has to kind of go and help her out. Now, you know, what you might be thinking is, what a weirdo. Okay, he's liked her from when she was a kid. No, he has not. Okay, it's a very fatherly form of affection. And it is only when our demon slayer reveals she loves monsters. That's like her thing. So after she reveals that and she starts putting the moves on him, I'm talking heavily putting on seductive moves, okay? Because this guy, not even thinking about any of that. You know, Duskwalkers, they don't have a lot of experience with humans. They don't know what's going on. And she kind of comes on to him that like their escapades start. And like I said, it is spicy.
Okay.
It's very spicy.
Thank you for the recap.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just setting us up for what the rest of the book is about, you know? I just want to make it clear. In some ways, it is very weird when they have seen the person as a young person, a baby, you know?
I hear what you're saying.
But they both grew up together-ish. Like, he was young when she was young, you know?
Yeah.
Blob and baby, you know? And now they're grown.
Yeah, they're about the same age.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Actually, yeah. I guess they are. Because he was a blob.
Yeah.
In fact, she's probably older than him.
4 years.
There you go. Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah. You get to talk things out, you know?
It is good, because I was like, okay, everybody, no one freak out. Stay calm. Anyway, but yeah, it was very, very spicy. And it's very heartfelt, because there's a point, I mean, he has a crack in his skull, so if you know what that means for the Duskwalkers, it's kind of sad. Anyway, but yeah.
Nice.
Gave it 4.5.
4.
I'm just thinking about the story now.
Well, I'll get there. I've only read the one. And
it definitely makes me excited for the rest of the series.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I like that it's original.
Yeah, and apparently in the fourth one, what she wrote in the back of the third is that the fourth one gets into even more world building and magic and stuff. So like this one was about their relationship.
More so than
and she like, and which makes sense why it's the spiciest, right? Because it's just focusing on them too. Like they don't go and do any big quest stuff. Yeah, like they're just kind of in this isolated place, right? And trying to like figure out this one thing. So in the next one, I think that's the one where we have kind of like the Oracle figure. So I'm getting into nerd land right now. I'm kind of going into the, but anyway, should be fun.
Well, I think we got some good reading done.
Yeah.
Looking forward to what else is to come.
Yeah.
I got a lot I'm currently reading, and I'm excited.
Yeah, working on some vlogs, so we'll have more in the next wrap up. But yeah, we did our first ever 24-hour readathon on our channel with our Patreon, which was fun last month. Celebrated 1 year on Patreon, which was cool.
I know.
Yeah, it was like a big endeavor. So, and we're just gonna keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Till next time, if you all like this video, give us a thumbs up. You know what to do. Click the subscribe if you want to watch more of us, support us, and notification bell to know when we're dropping stuff.
And if you want to find us on any other social media, you can get those links down below in the description.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bum, bum,
Da 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 da
bum, bum.
da.